Take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there? Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air. It's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility.
So we got to talk about some nonsense here. Because Elon Musk went after Hasan Piker on Twitter really randomly. I don't know. He must have been on a ketamine binge. So I'm going to cover this real quick. The most interesting part of it to me is not the actual dispute. Not that much happened. We'll see. There's some points to make about Elon Musk there. Nothing that everybody doesn't already know. But I think there's interesting underlying implications here in terms of what all of this is about. Hasan Piker is a increasingly relevant figure, especially because of stuff like this. I mean, honestly, I think it's a misstep on the part of Elon Musk to even mention or acknowledge Hasan. Because while Hasan is a relevant figure, it's like he's not really that relevant in a way that crosses over to Elon Musk circles and stuff like that. And so, if anything, Elon Musk has just introduced this guy to a bunch of people that didn't know about him before. Probably most people that are just going to jump on the hate train of him. And there's plenty of little, out of context things or whatever that can be shoveled at people to convince them to hate Hasan very quickly. But I don't know. Hasan is an interesting guy to me. I think he is just becoming one of the most relevant figures in terms of the online left right now. Probably mostly just because of streaming and the fact that he does streaming so often and he works well in that environment. So it's, it's worked for him. He's built an enormous audience. And it's an audience that, not everybody on the left has access to. You know what I mean? He has, his own audience. He reaches people in a way that other people on the left, like the Majority Report or TYT or whatever, aren't necessarily able to reach. So I think he's a valuable figure because of that. There are definitely criticisms to be had there. But for the most part, I think Hasan is worth defending, especially because he is receiving a ton of hate right now. People like Ethan Klein and Destiny have kind of made it their mission to try to oust Hasan from the public space. And I see it even a little bit in the comments, people saying things like Hasan is the same as Alex Jones by spreading misinformation or whatever. It's just not. It's 100% not true. And honestly, if you think that, you're definitely a little delusional. At very least, you are engaging with people like Ethan Klein and Destiny for sure. And you're sort of allowing them to warp your perspective a little bit. And you could say that about any streamer. You could say that about fans of Hasan's as well. And I'm not super into his content. I follow him whenever he pops up in the sort of zeitgeist. I keep an eye on him because I think he's doing good work. But like I said, I've criticized him before. I don't think he's above criticism. Elon Musk, for some reason, decided that he wants to target Hasan. He essentially called him a phony and said that he is a sellout over Hasan accepting an Assassin's Creed sponsorship. So a sponsorship from the company Ubisoft to play Assassin's Creed on stream. So that's the kind of thing that happens with streamers all the time. It makes perfect sense as an advertising vehicle for a game company. People watch a streamer play your game. They want to play it themselves. So it makes sense to pay a streamer to do that. Problem with Hasan is that he espouses left-wing ideas. He espouses anti-corporate and pro-labor ideas. And that's where there's some conflict of interest that come here. And so that's really what I want to get into. Whether or not that has anything to do with Elon Musk, or whether or not Elon Musk is the person who, can righteously make that claim is obviously, ridiculous. Elon Musk is one of the biggest sellouts in the public arena right now. I mean, this guy doesn't really seem to have any type of principle. Nothing that he does really makes any sense. And on top of that, this guy runs multiple companies. He's the CEO of a failing car company. And he's also supposed to be running the government and firing all these people. So why is he getting on Twitter and like starting a fight with Hasan Piker. I don't know. It just makes no sense. It's weird. It's just an example of whoever is in Elon Musk's timeline amplified this to him. But it shows that Elon has some context to who Hasan is, which is interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, obviously Elon Musk is a fraud and a moron. He was probably just like on ketamine or something like that and decided that he wanted to do this. Hasan said, you know, come on stream, let's battle it out, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to debate him or I think what he was saying is like, let's play, you know what I mean? I'll fucking own you, dog, in Assassin's Creed or whatever. Which is also stupid. But Elon Musk has gotten himself into these type of situations all the time where he starts a fight and then he runs away from it. And he says, oh, Hasan blocked me. And Hasan's like, yeah, of course I fucking blocked you because you're trying to like shove yourself in all of our faces all the time. And he has done that. And frankly, I have Elon Musk muted as well on Twitter because, you know, it's just fucking annoying. He just wanted to make himself the permanent main character of Twitter. So, but then, you know, this consistently happens where Elon Musk will call somebody out and then they'll be like, let's have a conversation. Come on the Daily Show. Let's have a fight. You and, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, let's do this. And, you know, Elon just finds some reason to run away from it. So that's all this is. He has no interest in actually engaging with Hasan, which is why I think it's weird that he ever even mentioned his name, said anything about him in the first place. Seems like a weird move that is just gives credibility and currency to his enemy, you know? And it's like, I don't know, Elon Musk is not a very disciplined guy. He doesn't have a disciplined message, doesn't have a disciplined way of going about any of this stuff. So this was like kind of a rookie mistake to do this. I don't know why he did it. It's just going to energize Hasan and his fan base. But the criticism, the underlying criticism here of Hasan playing the game for the sponsorship and that sort of thing, I don't know. I mean, look, I don't really care that much. Is there a conflict of interest there? I think there is. I think that it does make it so that criticisms that Hasan might normally make about Ubisoft, of which there are criticisms there to make, they have had anti-labor practices, multiple strikes over their treatment of employees. There's allegations of them fostering an unsafe, you know, environment that is rife with sexual harassment and that sort of thing. So for any other streamer, they don't have any responsibility to call this company out over that. So take their money, fine, who cares? But Hasan is the type of person who's built a career off of criticizing things like that. So that's where the conflict of interest comes, because I guarantee you, if Hasan takes this money, which I guess he already has, I think he's playing the game actively, you know, he's not going to criticize the company, at least not while he's on their dime. And again, it's a matter of how much you care. Personally, you know, people make a lot of claims, oh, Hasan's rich and this $1 million house and all this stuff. And I think Hasan's response to all of that is relatively immature. You know, like, oh, what, I'm not allowed to have a house? Socialism means I can't have a house. Obviously, that's not the critique. The critique is the wealth. You have accumulated an enormous amount of wealth, and one could argue that nobody needs a $2 million house. Somebody who says a lot of the same type of things that Hasan says could make that same argument, and it would be right at home. So that's where I think Hasan can be a little bit, you know, dishonest. I mean, he's made a lot of money doing what he's done. He's a hardworking dude, and I don't think there's anything wrong with him buying a big house so that his family can live there. I respect it. To act like that it's not slightly conflicting at very least, I think is a little dishonest. And this is another example of the same thing. If the dude wants to make his money, that's fine. But, you know, to act like there's no conflict of interest in taking money from that company specifically is, you know, I don't know. You're not really engaging with the reality, not only of the criticism, but of the worldview that you have espoused. It's one thing to say we all exist under capitalism and we have to make money somehow. Yeah, of course. But when it comes to accumulating a ton of wealth and taking money directly from advertisers, Kyle Kolinski has put it well when he says that by having a specific relationship with an advertiser, you are creating an incentive to not say certain things that are going to upset that advertiser. And, you know, it's easy to say, oh, well, you know, whatever. It's an easy decision to make. Somebody's offering you some money and you need it, so you take it. And but there's a very real justification, if you're going to consider yourself on the left, to not take money directly from advertisers. And there might be a sort of a difference. Like, you know, I run ads on these videos on YouTube. I don't have any relationship with those advertisers at all. I don't even know. You know, YouTube makes those decisions who advertises on these videos. You could argue there's a conflict of interest there as well. And maybe there is, to an extent. I mean, I would rather not participate in the advertising world and vehicle of making money at all. But that's the money that's there, and if I want to make a living doing this, I'm going to have to participate in that world to some extent. And there's more justification for, you know, accepting advertising revenue that you don't really have any control over versus having a relationship with an advertiser that incentivizes you not to make criticisms that you normally might make. You could also go the other way and say, if you're going to have advertisers, it should be like a product you believe in, that you can respect, and that you don't feel the need to criticize that company. And in that case, that's more ethically justifiable than taking money from random advertisers through YouTube or whatever. So I don't know. The point is that it's all relatively conflicting, but once you get to a point where you are accepting money directly from advertisers, I do think that it raises some questions of how much is that going to compromise your commentary. And in this case, I don't think it really matters that much. It might reflect a little bit of you know, an ethical weak spot for Hasan in general. I do think it's a fair critique, but I also think it's not the most important thing in the world. Even the company of Ubisoft and the criticisms that there are to have towards that company, there's more important things in the world. And if taking money from that advertiser at this moment is going to allow him to reach more people about other subjects that are more pressing, then maybe it balances out. And it also doesn't preclude him from ever saying anything negative about the company going forward. But the point is, if he's establishing this relationship now, probably the implication is going to be there that check is going to be there for him in the future, as long as he continues to not say anything that pisses off the company. So there's your perverse incentive right there. I don't think it disqualifies Hasan or discredits him. Really, I can understand people who hold that opinion, but I think, you know, my opinion on Hasan is that he's a pretty productive and valuable public figure. I think he's pushing the Overton window in a way that most people on the left are not able to do, or don't have the balls to do, or just don't quite have the platform to do. And so something like this doesn't really take away from that for me, but the problem is like not being able, I do think that there's something to be said for being able to tell your audience, like, yeah, look, you know, I don't agree with this company on everything. You know, I'm going to take this money, and there is a little bit of a conflict of interest there, but here's why I'm taking the money. I like the game, and if they want to pay me to play the game, I'm going to do that. The other thing that some comedians do, which probably most commentary people couldn't get away with, but what you see a lot of comedians do is they'll take money from these companies, and then they'll kind of actively trash the companies in their ad reads. And that's sort of fascinating to me, because some of these guys continue to get ad dollars from these companies, even though every time they mention their product, you know, it's like sometimes they make like really foul jokes about these products. But because they're comedians, that's what people are showing up for. So if you're making funny jokes about the product, you're actually getting more eyeballs on the advertisement. It's a weird thing. So it's like advertisers that have the balls to advertise with somebody who will criticize or make fun of them are probably going to benefit more. And that would go for Hasan as well. Hasan has the kind of clout that it's like he could be like, look, I'll take your money, but I'm gonna be honest about your company. And if you don't want that, then I don't need your money. I think that would be the ethical way of going about this, honestly. But again, it's harder to do that as a commentary person, because if you're a comedian, you can say, oh, I'm just joking. I'm just saying what's going to make people laugh and keep them listening. Whereas once it's about commentary and criticisms, now you're making more you're making claims about what's right and wrong, and that's where, you know, a company might not want to be represented that way. So, you know, the moral of the story is that Elon Musk is obviously just using this as an opportunity to discredit a leftist. It's kind of the half-baked criticism that anybody would use to try to discredit. Well, why are you buying an iPhone, bro? If you're like so socialist, bro, like why don't you redistribute all your money and stuff? It's like, you know, there's kind of no thought process happening there. There's no thought behind the eyes. It's just a way to discredit people. So I think ultimately this should be dismissed. And I think, you know, if people don't like Hasan, that's fine. I do think people are like really up in arms about it. Probably just because Hasan does criticize people harshly, like Destiny or Ethan Klein, and so that causes them to criticize him harshly back. It gets people like amped up against him. Not saying he starts it, but I can see how his way of launching criticism at people, one of the best ways to get people worked up is to not get worked up yourself. And that's one thing that I'll say about Hasan is that he's like pretty good about that. That actually might be what I like the most about him and why I view him as like a pretty productive person, because he doesn't get worked up. He's good at keeping his cool. He doesn't do a lot of debates for that reason. But in situations like this, or when he's having back and forth with people, it's, you know, not allowing yourself to get worked up can be the thing that causes other people to really lose their fucking cool. I experience that all the time. And maybe that's why there's so much hysterics around Hasan, because I really don't think he's that objectionable. I don't think he's that controversial of a figure. I think that if you are allergic to criticisms of Israel or to normalization of critics of Israel, then that's going to lead you to conclusions like, you know, Hasan Piker is the Alex Jones of the left. But if you're operating in reality, I think it's pretty easy to see that he's a normal guy who's got a good work ethic, and for the most part falls on the right side of issues, and, you know, isn't perfect and is susceptible to the same incentives of this society that we all are. And I don't think we should dismiss him because of that. And if anything, him being able to accumulate more power because of it is probably a good thing. But also, people questioning his ethics and his moral upstandingness because of his willingness to compromise about things like this is a valid criticism. It is. So anytime I talk about Hasan, people kind of attack me from both directions. I'm either I'm not harsh enough on him, or Hasan is terrible and I shouldn't be normalizing, whatever. I don't really care. I think Hasan is fine, and I think in as far as there's any type of valuable leadership on the left, Hasan is one of them, and that is why Elon Musk decided to target him.